I've been in dogs since 1991. We breed dogs that we want to train. I was out here in western Nebraska riding Harleys and training dogs. I don't sugarcoat anything, and if you don't like it, tough.
Hello, you are listening to the Flatliner Kennels podcast with Chris Jobman. My name is Elliot. I'm here with Chris today, here to answer your questions. One thing we love to do is just you guys submit questions and Chris knocks them down one at a time. So the big bulk of this podcast is going to be that. If you want to submit questions, you can go to the Facebook group, Flatliner Kennels podcast Facebook group, and that's where we get almost all of the questions. So join us over there and get your questions answered. How's it going, Chris?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I am doing great. Things are going wonderful. I want to start off with talking about treats and dogs. So I did a segment on my other podcast, the North American Waterfowler podcast, where I've been seeing a lot of Facebook posts of people using treats with dogs. And I did a little segment on my podcast again about why I personally don't use treats and don't want to use treats. And I told my audience that I was going to bring this question to you and see if I was on the right track with my thinking. And then you can tell me. So if I'm off track, you just let me know. My thought about treats is that when I'm working with my dog, I think of it as like a team, and I think of it like an intrinsic reward versus an extrinsic reward. Like an intrinsic reward is we do something for the principle of it, for the meaning of it. An extrinsic reward is like a treat or a snack or something like that. And when I'm training my dog, I want the dog to do it because we're a team, we're doing it together, and just flat out because I told you to do it. And I'm tapping into what that dog has been bred to do. That's a real short explanation as to why I said that I'm against treats with dogs. And I want to get your professional opinion about treats and training. Is it okay? Am I off track as to why I said I'm against it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a real touchy subject with a lot of people. I think I know what you're talking about on Facebook. I see a lot of people, for some reason, they love to put their own content on there, amateur trainers with treat training and
yeah, and I guess I should add, what I saw was this dog was young but not super puppyish, and he was having it go to a place board. So it'd run up to the place board, get a treat, come back to him. And my thoughts was, man, I don't want my dog working for treats. I want my dog working for our relationship and for the fact that it loves to work.
I think, and this is I've gone back and forth in my career on treats. When I first started, I was kind of a hard ass, right? They're not going to have treats. We're not doing any of that crap. They need to work for me, not a treat. I kind of changed my tone on that, and here's why. I think so. Right now, we have a Maverick Bonnie puppy, Byron's Maverick and Tyler's Bonnie, a beautiful little dog, and I think when they're little babies from, 8 weeks to 6-7 months, however long, I think the treat training, it can be very, very beneficial.
Even at 6 months? At 6 months?
Yep. So just hear me out. Now, do I think teaching, I know Eric's Tara at Habitat Flash, she does a lot of this. She's really good with it. I know I've seen some other people on Facebook that do it, that they're really good with it. Cindy out in Utah is really good with it. They teach their babies at 8 weeks, up to go to place boards, and they do like some 3-handed castings for treats, and they get them to run through tires and over obstacles when they're babies, right? And they're doing it for the treat. I think that helps them learn how to learn. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it is for a treat. I get it. When they get older, I'm not convinced. Let's just say this is such a hard subject. So let's just say we're doing, and Tanner does some of it too in the kennel with the place boards with their babies and stuff like that. And I think it teaches the young dogs how to learn. It teaches them how to learn. Do I think it translates into them being better marking dogs? No, I don't think that. Marking and three-handed casting and handling and control are two completely different things. I don't think it makes them, and I could be wrong on this. I don't know. I don't think that makes them a better marking dog. Do I think that makes them a better team player down the road? I think it does. Do I think it maybe teaches them to run better blind retrieves down the road? I'm not sure about that. I don't know. So my point is I really enjoy the puppy treat training. But I think once they get older, once they get into formal obedience at 6 months old, once you start collar conditioning and force fetching, treats are gone. Gone. I think your basic training, your obedience, your collar conditioning, your force fetch, some of those things, I think you could help speed up that process with treat training. Like if you have a treat in your hand and you say fetch and you give them a treat, they bite at it, right? I think you can condition the dog when you give the treat, you say, when you start force fetching the dog, they understand and reach for the deal. You see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I think there's some good benefits in it when they're babies. When they get older, I take that away because they need to learn, and you're correct on this, they need to learn to work with you, and you guys are a team. You are no longer working for treats. You're working to please your quote-unquote master or owner or your boss. Does that make sense? Because you're the alpha dog.
Right.
You're the alpha dog, and you now, once they get older, they need to learn how to please the alpha dog of the pack. That's how it works in the wild. Everybody works for an alpha dog. They're the boss. But like I said, going back to when they're puppies, I think it has some benefits for sure when they're puppies. But like I said, do I think it helps their marking? No, I don't think it helps marking. Do I think it helps their running blind retrieves or running lines, like straight lines? I don't think so. Now, will it maybe help with a no-no drill where they have to jump over a log? No, because Tara does, they jump over this stuff for a treat. I think it helps that because they understand to jump over that. But I also think you need to have in training, what am I going to get here? You need to have some difficulty in training and teach them to work through the difficulty of the mental stress of training in their own head without a treat. They need to learn how to do the right thing in their head to shut off the pressure or the mental stress, not just a treat.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm torn in it. I think it really helps the puppies. Like I said, it helps them to learn.
Yeah.
I really, and I'm not great at now. If you watch the obedience trainers of the world, like the real obedience trainers, they get the obedience titles. That's all treat training, and they are phenomenal. Their obedience is incredible, but that's all treat training. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it is incredible. Now, the military dogs that do that, that's not all. When they get older, that's not all treats. That when they're babies, it's treats. It's reward system. But I think you need the reward when they're babies is the treat. Do the right thing, you get the treat. The reward system when they get older is the bumper or the bird or your affection or your praise. That's what they're working for.
So maybe the flaw in my thinking was as babies, you're just conditioning them. And
correct.
The higher level relationship and why you're working comes later. And at the younger ages, you're just babying them along and conditioning them in whatever.
Yeah, you're teaching them. You're almost tricking them to work with you as a team member and give them a treat. You're almost tricking them how a team. They don't even know they're doing it for teamwork. The phase of teamwork when they get older, they're doing it for the treat, but you're almost tricking them into the point where they're accidentally learning how to be a team.
Right.
Now, do I think dogs need to have treats their entire life? Absolutely not. I think for what we need to do, they have to be under control. Without a treat, there has to be repercussions. There has to be, if you do this, this happens. If you do this, this happens. And I think a lot of people, let's just talk about praise. A lot of people, there's two rules. There's two kinds of people in the world. There is people that, and it's like when you raise kids. Kids and dogs, animals are the same thing. Some dogs are smarter than kids. Some kids are smarter than dogs. That's how it happens. But I think there has to be a repercussion. So I've lost my train of thought now all of a sudden. But the treats, there has to be if you do this, this happens. If you do this, this happens. Mm-hmm. They can't be working for a treat. There has to be, in the alpha dog world, when they get to be older, if you screw up, the alpha dog takes matters in its own hands for discipline. It has to be the same way with you and your dog. They can't be working they have to be working with you to gain your trust, to gain your affection. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, is praise. There's two people in the world. There's one that prays for everything. Oh, good poop. Oh, good pee. Way to eat your treat. Oh, good boy. It's too much. They don't even hear you. Oh, look at right. Oh, go, good poo poo. I mean, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
White noise.
Then there's other people that are trainers that are hard asses. Here, I said here, heel, sit. They're screaming at the damn dog that's 3 feet away because they think they've got to be mean and forceful and be the boss. So they don't ever give praise. So there's people that give too much praise and the dog doesn't even hear it. There's people that don't give any praise at all. I'm in between. Everybody, I get this a lot. Like, you never tell them good dog, or you never pet them. I do a lot, actually. I pet them a lot. I tell them good boy a lot. I tell them good girl, atta girl. I do that a lot. Now, when they're 6 years old and they go out and get a 75-yard mark and they come in and sit down with a mark, heel, good boy, atta boy. You don't need that. That's their job. That's their job. Now, if let's just say you're doing some three-handed casting with a young dog and you're struggling, some dogs are right-handed, some dogs are left-handed. Let's just say you have a left-handed dog. So when you give a right back, they don't want to turn to the right. Okay? If that dog is struggling to turn that way, right, and the dog does the right turn, the correct turn, attaboy, good dog. Okay, attaboy, good. Now you give them praise for doing the right thing. If that dog turns the right way, oh, it's okay here, good boy, it's okay. That's not time to praise. It did the wrong thing. Now, it's also not time to be an asshole. Like, no, here, come on, sit down. Right back, attaboy, good. So now you're giving praise when praise is deserved because the dog is in the learning stage and that praise helps their learning ability. They want to be part of a team. They want to make you happy. Or at least you hope they do. And so praise can be really, really good tool, and it can be a detriment as well. And so when you do the treat training as a puppy, when you're phasing out of that treat training, that's when you start adding the praise. Praise substitutes the treat.
Right.
When they do the right thing, but not every single thing right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They come into heel. Oh, good boy. Yeah. They came into heel. That's their job.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like I said, if you're trying to teach a skill that they're struggling with, praise could be a great tool. And when we're force fetching, like Tanner is force fetching some young dogs, I watch him. I go out there and help him sometimes. When he's force fetching young dogs, if you have a timid dog, like a little more of a timid dog, and you're force fetching and you see them struggling with like maybe moving with the bumper or healing with the bumper, and they finally do it correctly, attaboy, good dog, all right, good. But don't overdo it to where that dog loses its mind and starts jumping all over the place. They've got to understand, even though if you praise them, they still have to be under control. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so praise is a great teaching tool, but like I said, there's two people. One gives too much and one doesn't give enough. And you've got to find a happy medium. And there are some dogs I put Grand Tiles on multiple. They thrive with all they need is, atta girl, good girl, all hey, and you pet them up a little bit, and they just come out of their shell. They love that. Flash could care less. He does not care 1 ounce. Teeter, on the other hand, Eileen's young dog, a girl, she loves it. She thrives on it. There's some dogs that don't care.
Yeah.
So you've got to find that dog, and every dog's different. And, the famous line from Chris Aiken, and I say it all the time, you've got to pull a choke and pump the gas. You got to figure out what makes that dog tick. And if you have a really sensitive dog, giving a dog a treat is not going to help you with a down the shore water blind. It's not going to happen. So, but you have to teach all that. You've got to, I think treats are, go back to, I'm ranting now, but the treats I think are a good thing at the correct time and then at the correct stage of learning. And I wish I knew more about it, and I really don't. But I think during the correct stages of the dog's life, I think treats are really good. But you got to wean them off the treats.
Right. All right. Well, cool. Good, very good stuff. Let's hit the partners real quick, and then we'll jump right into the questions. Merino decoys, I believe it's merinodecoys.com, right?
Merino decoys. Yep.
Merinodecoys.com. Talk about the urns for a second. We talked about it a lot on the last one. Talk about the products of the urns that he's got.
Man, I tell you what, Mike does a phenomenal job. And we've talked about this every episode. They're hand carved. He lives in Colorado. He's a hunter. He's a duck hunter. He's a dog guy. He's got into this. He's a full-time carver now, and he just started full-time. And these urns that he has are super cool. I've seen some urns that the dog goes, the ashes go inside the urn, they haul it out, and you can't hunt with them. These urns are different. These urns are you put a shell in the bottom of the decoy, and the ashes go in that shell. And you can literally hunt over your dog because they're all sealed up and they're huntable. They're fantastic. I bought one for my son, his dog Spank. They are. I can't wait to get them. I bought some decoys from him. We're going to hunt over them next week, I hope. They're phenomenal. They're a phenomenal product. Mike does a great job. And Mike's good at it. Like I'm sorry, Elliot, but every decoy, he's not a mass producer. So some carvers are mass producing and they already have like mallard decoys sitting on the deal and you can go buy it. He makes exactly what you want. If you want them a little lighter colored for hunt season or late January mallards, you get that. You can pick and match whatever you want to do, and every one of them is unique. They're not a mass produced. I mean, he sits in his garage and he bangs them out, and they're I can't say enough nice things. They're fantastic. They're fantastic.
Yeah, and I've got one of his mallards he sent me. It's just a showpiece. It just sits in my muck room and looks beautiful. So you can have them for that, like for decorations, to hunt over, for the urns. So go to merinodecoys.com and check out what he's got. The other part I want to talk about is Mammoth Guardian dog crates. It's a little less expensive than some of the upper brands, but every bit as safe with this cool roll cage attachment you can put on to where you can strap your dog down the way I do it. There's some hunts, I've got so much gear in the back of my truck that I need the kennel to go inside the truck in the back seat. So I take the roll cage attachment off and it slips right in there. If I'm going on a big trip where the kennel's going to be in the back and I want her in it, I can strap it down with the roll cage attachment. MammothPet.com, Guardian 15 for 15% off. It's a great product. You can find it on Amazon. Just search Mammoth Guardian dog crate. So, all right, let's go
They're
ahead.
A nice dog crate. They're a nice dog crate.
They're really cool looking. I think it's slick looking, but different.
They're pretty cool.
Let's go ahead and jump into some of these questions here. So, first one is from John Michael Pillow. What is the most common mistake that amateur handlers make on blinds? I'm taking notes on this one. Here we go.
Yeah, this could be a whole episode. I personally think
what I think you're going to say.
Yes, I would love to hear this.
Because
give it to me.
I will tell you that I spent, I think, like 13 days straight out there at your place a few years back, and it revolutionized my handling of blinds. And watching you through the seminars and stuff, it's timing of the whistles is like you get your dog into such a bad position with the timing of I came out of that time I spent with you completely different on running blinds just based on when I was blowing the whistles.
Yeah, that's a major one. Those I see, that's the biggest fault I usually see in a hunt test, and in hunting. They don't. amateurs, not all amateurs, I shouldn't say. There's just handlers out there that think, oh, my dog's only got 5 whistles in them. So they don't want to blow the whistle, or they're a spectator. Running a blind retrieve is not a spectator sport. You see the dog veer off, get involved. Don't just, oh, it's going to be okay, and try to get a 40-yard over. That's not going to work. So you're right. One of the biggest mistakes is timing of the whistles because they're being a spectator. You know what I mean? They're being a spectator. Yep. I'm just going to go through some of them that I see. One of them, one of my biggest pet peeves, I got a couple of them. One of them is, and they kind of correlate, they all kind of link together, is I think people worry too much about handling and running blind retrieves when a dog is young. They push them too fast. We have a very detailed pattern blind program here, and our dogs, I'm going to brag a little bit, our dogs sit to the whistle really good and they run really good blinds. But we're not asking them at 13 months to do all that. We have a really good pattern blind program, and I think people want to go too fast when it comes to handling dogs. They want to get to running blind retrieves too fast because their buddy has the 14-month-old phenom that is already running finished, and like, oh my God, I got to get going. That's not your dog. Train your dog. That dog has nothing to do with your dog. Human egos have ruined more dogs by 100 times than an e-collar has. And all that is ego. They want to get their dogs going faster. And so I think they push them too fast. I don't think they dot all their I's. They don't think they cross all their T's. They go too fast because they want to get to the finished product. And which is fine. But in dog training, if you don't enjoy the process of building the dog to the finished product, then you need to stop. It's not for you because you are asking them to do too much too fast. When you do that, you skip corners. You go out of balance. You don't run enough marks. You're just handling them blinds. Then all you do is concentrate on handling, and then they can't mark very well because you're out of balance. And then you go too fast through the process, and your dog has a loopy sit, right? Oh, we'll fix that down the road. No, you won't. It doesn't get better if you stop, if you don't nip it in the bud, because what ends up happening down the road, I'll fix that in pattern blinds, or I'll fix that when they get down the road. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. You get down the road and the dog has a big loopy right sit, and now we're going to fix it, right? So now you start putting a bunch of pressure on the dog for loopy sit whistles, and the dog is mentally melting down because of mental stress. Then you start getting no-goes, and you start getting cash refusals, and you start getting all the things because you went too fast. And I always tell people, it's like training a water leak. You plug one hole, it shoots out one side. You plug this hole, it shoots out one. You keep plugging holes when you shouldn't be plugging holes. You should have took the time. So that's one of the biggest problems. They go too fast, way too fast. And not properly teaching whistle, like you are right. The whistle timing of the whistles is terrible. And I think one of the biggest things on blind retrieves, especially, is amateurs and or some pros out there. They don't want to challenge their dog. And what I mean by that is they don't want to get in the quote unquote fight with their dog in training, because they want to drive home thinking they're the greatest trainer ever, and shake hands and bump chests and drink a beer with your buddy and say how great you are, and you're not. It's just how it is. I've seen it 1,000 times, right? And it is what it is. And so they don't challenge their dogs, and they don't want to get in that fight. And so they'll come out and train with us. Let's just say, and I'm running a 240-yard down the shore water blind. You've been out here, you've seen it. And they're like, well, let's just try it. They'll say, let's try it. They get halfway to it, and their dog is not built correctly for it. The ego of the handler has put the dog way over its head. The dog gives up and comes in. The handler's like, okay, we're good. I'm not going to try that. We're not going to finish that. Hold on. You started this thing. Now you're teaching your dog to give up.
Right.
And Instead of simplifying it, hey, run out there for me and throw a bumper out in the water. Let's try to just finish this and end on a good positive note. So the ego of the handler puts them in a situation that they can't handle, and they just give up.
Yeah.
And now you taught the dog to quit. And what I'm getting at is a lot of these people don't want to challenge their dog because they don't want to think badly of their dog. And in hindsight, you go to hunt tests all over, and if this is very, very common, lots of amateur dogs can run beautiful marks, pound triples, quad. They can you throw any mark, they can find it. You go to run a blind, they're done because they've not taken their time to probably teach the dog how to handle. They've rushed through the process and they don't want to challenge a dog, or they don't understand how to challenge a dog. They don't get help. Like that's just some of them, but there's a lot of them out there. But whistle sits is a big one. Terrible timing on whistles is a huge one, and putting a dog in over situations is a big one, and incorrect timing of an e-collar is terrible. Like, so you'll get a lot of people that just say you give a right angle back. The dog scallops and goes straight back. So instead of stopping the dog, calling it back, giving it a correction, which is attrition, calling it back, stopping the dog, indirect pressure, and casting again, the dog just digs straight back. They just hit the collar. Not the wrong way. They just hit the collar and stop the dog with the collar. So then they cast again, and the dog goes the other way. Which is the wrong way. Just hits the collar without doing anything. So now that dog, and everybody's seen it, that dog, you blow the whistle and you go to cast, that dog just sits there. It has no idea where to go. It went to the right. It turned to the right. It got pressure. It turned to the left. It got pressure. Now the dog is so confused. It has no idea where to go. That's terrible timing. You should stop the dog. If you get a right angle back and it scallops back, stop the dog. Immediately stop the dog. Immediately, and then that's not the right way to go. Then instead of giving him the come-in whistle, I would go here, here, here. Have that dog come to you with a here. Stop the dog again and either cast with attrition or give a light nick with indirect pressure and cast again. Teach the dog which way to go. Because if you only teach a dog where not to go, they get so confused, they just sit there, they won't move. Because they don't want to make a mistake. And it's not their fault, it's the handler's fault. Because you've not taught the dog where to go to get out of the mental stress and out of the pressure. That's a huge one I see in training. Huge.
Yeah, two things. The two biggest things I feel like that I have gotten from you in my time with you on running blinds with Georgie is, number one, the indirect pressure of when the collar timing is, of stop him, bring him back. I can see her when I sit here, I sit her down because she's just had a cash refusal, and I give it a couple seconds to wait. And I give a little nick enough to where I can just see her head twitch a little bit. It's like it's calming everything down. It's like, Think about what you're doing.
It's a reset.
Instead of everything going so fast, it's like, calm it down, sit, think about it for a second. Let me give you a light nick just to remind you, think about what you're doing. It's like It's like just a little pop. It's like smack. Like, think about what you're doing.
It's a mental reset. It's like,
and
stop.
That neck cast is always so much better.
Correct.
That and learning your dog to the point where you feel like you can read their body language, and when you see their decision, when their decision is wrong, that you stop them, not when the action is wrong. Like, you can see they made that one little move, and you know them so well that you know what they're going to do. And so you stop them right then before they're like 10 yards beyond and they're unrecoverable.
Yeah, and if you watch me handle dogs, if I give a right angle back and I see the dog overspin, like you see their head cross like if they're supposed to go this way, I'm trying to figure it out, and they want me to do this way, and they overspin, I can see, and I instantly blow the whistle again, instantly, because and then recast or use attrition and then recast. I see too many people, their dog over rotates and scallops back, and they let them run 10 yards. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, well, I don't know. Like, stop them. Let's stop them. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and the there's a lot of spectator sport when it comes to the handling, and it just takes a lot of time and years to learn all that. But like you said, you've got to see them when you're running a blind retrieve, when you see them deviate from their line because of a factor, that's when you get involved and you change their mind. It's not when they cave into the factor and get up on a lane and start running. Don't do it then. Do it when when you see them change their mind and they give into a factor. That's when you become involved. Because then you teach a thinking dog. You teach a dog to learn how to think, and that's what we all want—a thinking dog. That's what I want.
I think this is an interesting parallel. I interviewed a shooting instructor named Scott Vicks, and he was talking about one of the number one things that you can do to shoot better is to make sure that you are focused in with your eyes and your mind on the duck, like actually closely looking at the duck, like focusing in on it. And I think that
like pick out the white spot on the neck, or pick out a spot. Yes,
right. You're actually finitely looking at it, and I think that applies to dogs too. It's like you're watching, like you go as far as to like the leads and everything. I don't go that far, but it's like you're actually focused in on that dog, not the whole surroundings, not the emotions, but like you're zoomed in your attention to exactly what that dog is doing, the body language is doing. And I think that with amateur trainers, and I know myself, it's like you can get overwhelmed by the whole environment as a whole instead of like zoning in on the specifics of the animal.
And when you're doing blind retrieves and training, you have an end spot. Like you have your blind pole out there, however far it is. So you have a straight line from you to there. In training, people worry about that line to the blind. Don't worry about that. Who cares? You're not trying to win this. And if you're trying to win the training session, don't do that. In training, you want to get to the end of the blind, but it's how you get there that matters, not the end result. So if you have a dog that scallops on cast and struggles with changing direction, make that dog change direction. Now, let's just say you have a dog that doesn't like to cast into the wind, and you've been working your ass off on it, and you give a right angle back into the wind, and the blind's here, and you give a right angle back into the wind, and your dog actually takes the wind cast that you've been working so hard. Once it takes that cast, don't stop him immediately and put him back on line, because you've been working on that dog taking an angle cast into the wind for weeks. Now it finally gives it to you, and you stop him. So now you're telling the dog it's not doing the right thing. You have to think like an animal. You have to break it down very simple. So if they take that cast into the wind, let them take it. If they're 20 yards off a line, who cares? Who cares? Because they showed you that they taken it into the wind. Forget where the blind's at. You can always finish it at the end or walk out there and finish it. But if they're taking the cast in the wind, let them go. Let them go, and then stop them, and then cast them back the other way, and let them just start slalom into the blinds, because now they're changing direction for you, and they're like, oh, that's what he wants. But if you're working on casting in the wind, and you give that cast, and the dog goes 15 feet, beautiful cast into the wind, and then you stop them to put them back on line, you just told the dog you're going the wrong way.
Right.
And you've crushed everything that you've tried to teach that dog for the last couple of weeks. Forget about the end of the blind. Worry about how you get there. Change your direction, leave good, change your direction, fast whistle, sit, and work on that.
All right, good stuff. Let's move to that. That was really great. I think those very, very helpful.
Good.
Phil Holting, do the retrievers that are bred for upland pointing labs have more hunt in them versus the labs that are bred to be hunt test competitors and duck dogs?
Absolutely not. No, they don't. I've trained a pile of quote-unquote pointing labs, and a good dog is a good dog no matter what. They don't have more hunting instinct than a high-end, a nice dog that you're going to do for hunt tests. They're just built different. You know, a lot of pointing lab people out there, and I got lots of friends that run pointing labs. I've trained a pile of pointing labs. I won't train them to point, but I'll train them to do all the other stuff. And you know, a lot of those pointing lab guys, their number one thing is to breed for the point. That they want that pointing instinct And we can debate whether that's instinct, standing game. I'm not going to get into that right now. I have my own feelings on it, but I'm not going to get into it. A good dog is a good dog. But the pointing lab guys breed for that pointing instinct more than they do typically, not all the time, but more than they do marking ability or water, courage in the water, or they want that point because that's what they want. And that if that's what they want, great. I don't care anything about it. Now, I've had dogs at Grant Tiles that pull in on the bird. They just started pointing, and I taught them how to flush the bird. But so the pointing lab people are looking for a little bit different thing than we are. Most of our dogs are flushing dogs. I don't care anything about a point. Like I said, they breed for the point. We breed for different attributes. Now, I have trained some badass pointing dogs that can do it all, but they're hard to find too. So, but no, they don't have more hunt than it all depends on how you raise them. It all depends on your breeding. It all depends on if you've turned on their prey drive when they're puppies with clip-wing pigeons and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that go into building drive, and they don't have more. No, they don't.
So with the pointing labs, compare like the top end pointing lab and its pointing ability versus like a German short hair. How well do they actually point the best ones?
Well, I've seen some really good pointing labs, and those guys in Colorado, and they run a bunch of really nice ones. Will their tails
freeze too? Will they like the
whole
thing?
Yes. Yeah. Very seldom will they'll be up in the air like a setter or a pointer or a short hair, but they will lock up. They will lock up tight. Now, I will tell you, they're not a good, and the people are going to kill me for this. The best pointing lab in the world and the best. Now, there's two types of short hairs or pointing dogs. You have a foot pointing dog, a foot like you walk behind them, and you have ones that you get on horses and chase them down. Mm-hmm. The best. This is gonna. I shouldn't even say this. The best pointing lab in the world against the best pointing short hair in the world. The short hair is going to win.
Right.
That's what they do. That's what they are bred to do.
That can't be that.
Now, if you were to shoot a mallard, now I know there's exceptions to the rule. But if you were to shoot a mallard in the water, cold ass water in January, that lab is probably going to go get that bird. That short hair is like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not what they're bred to do. Now I know there's some of them do it. I get it. There's great pointing labs, there's great short, but typically the highest end best pointing dog and the highest end best pointing lab, they're two completely different animals, but a pointing lab is more of a multi-purpose than a short hair or something like that. Not always, but usually the best pointing lab is the best pointing dog, like a short hair, is going to win. They're just that's what they're bred to do. They run bigger, that sort of thing. They're just different animals.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious about that.
I've seen them great. They're cool dogs. I'm a flushing dog guy. I love my Springers, which are flushing dogs. And the best Springer in the world, if you could find the best Springer Spaniel in the world, Field Springer, that's going to be the best flushing dog you've ever seen in your entire life. That's what they were bred to do.
Right.
And I know there's labs out there that are phenomenal upland dog. I get it. But they're specialists. Like that Springer Spaniel is an upland specialist. That short hair, for the most part, is an upland specialist. The lab is more of a dual purpose. And I know there's versatile point. I know there's Drothars and there's wire hairs and they're multi-purpose. Versatile dog. I understand that. But if you want an all-around waterfowl dog / pointing dog and you love the point, then buy a pointing lab. If you're a pointing dog guy, go buy a short hair.
Yeah.
It's just different. Yeah.
All right. Next one, Brock Harrison. In my area, most duck hunting is done out of a blind with a dog box / ramp on either end. The water is too deep to have the dog at heel and send them on back for blinds. Typically, after the dog returns with their mark, the handler will then send them on back. Handler stays in the blind and then casts them to the bird. My concern with this is that my dog will begin popping after enough repetitions of this. Do you have any tips to prevent popping in this situation? And then second, do you think popping in this scenario will translate to popping when I send the dog for a blind from heel, such as at a hunt test?
Like you've already talked about that. Brock, I think, and thank you for the question. I know he's a fan. I appreciate that. They know the difference. Now, when there's no way you're going to be able to line the dog up in a hunting situation because of the ramp. It just doesn't happen, and you just have to do what you got to do and deal with it. But in training, a lot of times when you send them from your heel, now they may pop a little bit out of hunting season just because they've done it so often. But usually, if you've done all your basics and you've done all your transition, your advanced work, and you've built a really, really solid handling dog, they know the difference. They 100% know the difference. And you touched on that. They know when you're hunting and you're training.
Yep.
And they know the difference. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, if you're worried about it, quit sending the dog on blinds. Let the dog run off the ramp, go pick up the ducks that it sees. If you're worried about deteriorating training, then don't send them on blinds. Let somebody else do it. So I think they know the difference, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Dogs know the difference between a hunt and a hunt test. Like we saw in the last episodes, like Georgie 100% knows she a blind and a hunt is totally different than a hunt test scenario. And she acts different.
Well,
they're perceptive.
We have dogs that get more excited at a hunt test than they do hunting. Because in hunting, they have the collar on. And how we do it, they're very controlled. You've been out here. At a hunt test, they're like, hell yeah, we're staying at the Holiday Inn Express last night. Let's do it. Yeah. And they're different. They get more excited at a hunt test than they do hunting. I know you don't believe that because Georgie's a psycho at everything, but they do. They do.
She is a little psycho. I love it, man. I love it. I'll tell you what. I will never want anything but the highest drive dogs. I don't care. She's been a little much for me the first full effort I put into a dog, and I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Give me that
the same
drive. Way. And my next dog, I'll just be better at what I'm doing, and I'll be better at bringing it down. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, they're going to be 7. What, in April, March?
Yep,
April. They're going to be 7.
I know.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I know. My next one, so the Georgia replacement, I'd like another flash or something out of red. Is kind of Or there's always that Linda out there. I hear good things about her too.
Yeah. Linda's a beast. Linda's a beast. But we so Red, like I said, we talked about last episode. This is his first real season. He's doing phenomenal. He started out real slow, but he's doing phenomenal now. He's getting to be a monster. It's been fun to watch. We're training our first batch of red puppies right now, and they are really, really nice. They are very nice.
Nice.
I'm very surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm very happy that they are. They've turned out really, really. They're just babies. They're only like, what are they, 8 months old? And we got our first batch now, and then we got another batch coming. And they're nice puppies. They really are.
Now, where did those come out of? You didn't run that breed, did you?
No, I did not breed. No, Grant at Big Cottonwood, he did a breeding. He's on 2 breedings, and the first breeding we've got in right now, and they're really nice. They're all out of force fetch, and they're marking and starting to handling, and they're good team players, and they're really nice dogs.
How old are those?
8, 9 months.
8, 9 months. His
maybe 10 months somewhere in there.
Grant's most recent litter was with Red. My buddy that has the private Missouri got the only chocolate out of that litter. So
okay, good.
That's gonna be really cool. That's what would be a nephew of Georgie I'll be hunting with when he hunts it. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
The other day we went hunting with Flash and Red. They're riding in my back seat, so I had father and son.
Oh, that's cool.
Father and son. It was pretty cool.
Do they look fairly similar looks wise? I've seen Red.
They
but
don't.
I can't remember
They don't. Red's big. Red's 80 pounds, and Flash is like 70. They don't look alike. They're big, strong dogs. Isla, who has now passed away, but she had like a wavy coat on her back like this, and Red's got that. But they have the same. Red has I'm telling you, he is a big, strong alpha male. He is probably him and Maverick are the toughest dogs around. They're so tough. But you go to Pet Red, he just melts. Like he literally just just does that. Like it's the damnedest thing you ever seen. And they're all like that. All them Flash puppies. It's crazy.
All right, next question. Alexi Hahn Season level dog, 2 years, has been through force fetch, knows fetch command, and does it without fail in training. During test, the dog has problems with dropping old birds. Failed one test for it. In the last test, had to be told 2 times to fetch before he picked it up. I want to go back to revisit force fetch, but he knows the command and does the process without fail. So it's hard to force. Difficult because he crushes marks and blinds, but looks sloppy with the bird. What's your suggestion?
Give me a little controversial, but you need to go back and revisit force fetch. Now, when you force fetch that dog, did you get to the point of failure with that dog and you pushed it through failure? And what I mean by that is, did you get to the point where that dog give up and got into that resentment stage and just completely gave up? And then did you push that dog through that stage of giving up to the point where it has no other thing to do besides pick the bird up, pick the bumper up? If you did not do that, revisit force fetch, get to the point of failure in like collar fetch. So did you collar fetch the dog? What did you do? You could say force fetch. If you don't get to the point of failure in force fetch where the dog refuses to do it and then you push them through that, you're not done. Because what's happening is now that dog doesn't want to pick up the bird, and fetch command should be almost compulsive, like fetch, and they're just picking it up. And you've not done that with that dog, I'll bet. So that dog is just picking up the bird because it wants to, not because it has to, if that makes sense. Get to the point, go back, listen to my force fetch episode on here, whichever episode that was, and revisit that. And if you've not got to the point of failure, you need to go back to failure because the dog is just picking up when it wants to. In my opinion.
On the Flatliner Kennels YouTube channel, we've got a playlist. You go to the playlist section. We've got all the flow chart there for you in order, and the force fetch is right there. So YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And also I've posted it on the Facebook group several times if you scroll down. But on the Flatliner Kennels YouTube channel, you can see that whole playlist.
And you're saying the dog runs good blind retrieves. I don't know what that means, but if you've not done force fetch to the point of failure, like the collar fetch, and push them through that, then obviously you probably not forced to a pile very well either. And what you're going to end up happening is when the dog, I don't know the level of the season level, when that dog, did he say season level? I think he said season level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now, you better back up. You better do collar fetch really well to the point of failure. Get them through that point of failure. Teach them how to do it correctly, because that's going to teach them how to handle pressure mentally. Because once you get past the season level, and you start getting to finish and master, things are going to get very hard. And if that dog isn't forced to pile correctly, water force correctly, done all those things, mental, and learn how to deal with mental stress, that dog is going to give up on you when you get to the higher levels. So you just be careful with all that.
All right, let's do one more question. And I know we still have a pile of questions on here. We'll get to them. This is Donald Knott. What are your thoughts on impulse control? Is that genetic or trained?
I guess I don't know what he means.
Impulse control.
Impulse. I don't understand. So impulsive, like just say, so you're talking about impulse control. So there's some dogs out there just like human beings, and I'm very impulsive on certain things, and certain things I'm not. You know, when you go shopping at Walmart or wherever you go shopping, all that crap by the register, that's for me. I'm the impulse guy. I'm like, ooh, there's a candy bar. Ooh, there's a flashlight. Ooh, there's a clicker. Like I start buying all the crap. I am impulsive. That's shit for me. There are certain dogs that are the same way. They'll see a bumper and they'll just run over and pick it up. And they'll see a bird, they'll run over and pick it up, and you can't stop them because they're so impulsive. There are certain dogs that are more laid back and they're more chill, and that they don't have that impulse. So if you have a really, really impulsive dog, then you need to put more obedience on the dog and teach the dog how to be a team player. If your dog doesn't have a whole lot of impulse and doesn't have a whole lot of drive, then you loosen up the dog, you let it do what it wants to do, and kind of develop more of an impulse because you want more power and more go in the dog. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you got to be careful with it. So there's just certain dogs that are super impulsive. So I don't really understand the whole entire question, but impulse control, it varies from dog to dog. So, and like I said, I'll repeat it again. If you got a dog that's super impulsive, you need to put control on it. If your dog is overly controlled and maybe doesn't mark as well because it wants to be handled because you've taken the impulse out of the dog and the dog just gives into you, then back off on the control and let it become more of an individual with more personality. So,
all right, good stuff. We got a lot more questions, guys. Again, if you want your questions answered, you got to go to the Facebook group and put them on there, and I'll get them on the list. Well, thanks, Chris. Good job with those.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
How about those Chiefs?
Yeah. Well, hey, 5 out of 7 years in the Super Bowl is okay with me.
It's okay, Swifty. You'll be fine, Swifty. You'll be
Swifty. Fine. I don't mind the most popular woman on the planet liking my team. I'm sorry, it doesn't bother me.
She really like the team. She's just there to get clicks.
Whatever. I don't mind.
Go Broncos! Go Broncos!
Honestly, I'm not one of those guys that can't cheer for. It's like I like the Broncos more than I like other teams. It's like I'm an old Big 8 guy, and if my team isn't in it, I'm for the Big 8 teams. I'm kind of like that too. Where some people, it's like I would never want the Broncos to win. I'd be okay with that, man. I think they're a cool team.
Well, I'm kind of like you. Like I'm a Big 10 guy, obviously now. Because I was a Big 8, the Big 12, now we're the Big 10. I want to see the Big 10 win it because that's our conference, right? And if you were a Chiefs fan, you want to see the Broncos win it because that's your conference.
Most Chiefs fans don't feel like that, but I
know.
I'll tell you what, the game I would like to see is the Broncos versus the Houston Texans. Those two defenses, that would be a cool thing to watch.
Yeah. It would be cool. So I'm kind of bummed out. We got to play. Broncos got to play.
Bills.
Oh God, the Bills. And I'm not a Bills fan. I'm a Josh Allen fan.
Oh, me too.
A huge Josh Allen fan.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that they've got to play because I love to see. I hope the Broncos win, of course. But here's how I look at it now. If the Broncos don't win, I want Josh Allen to win the whole thing.
Amen. Absolutely.
That's how
I will probably cheer for the Bills because Josh Allen is just too good not to have won a Super Bowl. I don't want that guy to have that monkey on his back.
I agree with you 100%. I don't want him to be Dan Marino.
Me neither. You know? He is a cool individual, just a cool guy.
He's a good dude, man. And he's from Wyoming. Had 0 D1 offers, and Wyoming took him. I mean, what a great story! But
crazy.
I want the Broncos to win.
All right, we'll close this one down. Let's get
all
out
right.
of here.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Please give us some more questions on our Facebook page. If you got any suggestions, we'd like to hear them. Whether we want to, if you have a guest that you want us to have on, something like that, put it on the Facebook page. Let us know. I'll do our best. But everybody, thanks for listening. See everybody at the line. Take that aim.